So as you may have heard or read this past week, Infinity Ward is looking to put out a weapon balancing pass in the mid-Season 4 update, around July 7th or 8th, give or take. The biggest change players are looking forward to are nerfs to the Grau specifically, and I'm mostly talking about Warzone in this video. This thing is long overdue for a nerf, and the current meta has made Warzone boring unless you want to handicap yourself intentionally. You probably noticed that most of your kill cams or weapons player drop are the Grau and MP5. It's been this way for a long time. However, as history has taught us time and time again, Infinity Ward is always putting out minor nerfs and even buffs to some weapons without notice, neglecting to mention a change in the patch notes at all. I think the M4 received 3 different nerfs because they just couldn't get it down the first 2 times. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think the mid-Season 4 nerf is going to make anyone happy with the Grau. It's either going to remain the top choice weapon in Warzone, or it's going to lose everything that makes it unique, which would also suck. They might even buff something about it without telling us, because they did that to the Snake Shot Long Barrel, launchers, and even the 725 back in the day. So this video is about the Grau nerfs we need, but probably won't get. After I talk about the nerfs, I also want to talk about my theory as to why it hasn't been nerfed sooner. Okay, the problem. The Grau is a jack-of-all-trades weapon that is a master of both range and accuracy, 2 of the most important traits in Warzone. This is why it's such a huge problem, but not so much for standard multiplayer. It also doesn't really have much of a weakness. It's good at almost everything. It belongs to the class of fully auto 5.56 caliber or light assault rifles. These are all considered the accurate long-range, mid to high rate of fire ARs, and are 5 of the most common weapons used in Warzone for those exact reasons. These include the Grau, M4, M13, Kilo, and Ram 7. The rest of the assault rifles aren't all terrible, but the fact that I can count on one hand how many times I've seen someone use a custom AK-47 or SCAR in Warzone says something about the state of all these slow-firing, heavy assault rifles. Even the ones that get a bonus to damage for chest shots still can't keep up with the light assault rifles, except for maybe the AMAX. That's in a strong second place for me in Warzone right now. That's why in this video, I'm focusing on light assault rifles and time to kill in Warzone against 3 plates. So let's get into the nerfs we need for the Grau. First up is an obvious one, range. The range of the Grau is already really good before we have any attachments. Between the light ARs, it has the furthest initial time to kill drop-off in Warzone against 3 plates, aside from the M13, but that's also because it's the only drop-off range for the M13 due to having a lower overall damage, but faster rate of fire. The M13 is also beating the Grau in time to kill by only 16 milliseconds for those first 34 meters, and that's technically less than a single frame at 60 FPS, and something you wouldn't even notice. Now adding the longest barrels and a monolithic suppressor is where this really gets out of hand. Out of all 5 light ARs, the Grau gets the biggest bonus. It already had the longest range for damage drop-offs, and now it has the biggest bonus to that range. So it's just increasing what was already the best by the most amount. The Archangel barrel and monosuppressor on the Grau give it a 59.34% gain to its furthest range, a 97.2 meter range for the Grau's furthest damage drop-off. Even the M4 stops at 76.9 meters. It has to go. That's insane. If it were up to me, I would shave off a few meters for both the closest damage range and furthest damage range, bring the closest, which is currently at 34 meters, down to 25 meters, and bring the furthest damage range, which sits at 61 meters, all the way down to 40 meters. That's a massive nerf, but it's also strange to give the most accurate weapon the longest damage ranges. I mean, they do the exact opposite to the Ram 7. It's the least accurate light assault rifle with the shortest damage ranges by far. That drops off at 28 meters and 45 meters currently. Buff the Ram 7 ranges while we're at it. It doesn't make sense when you think about it from a balanced perspective. You end up rewarding an easy-to-use weapon and punishing a difficult-to-use weapon at range. Trimming down this base range would mean the barrel and suppressor ranges don't really need to be messed with. That's one nerf down. It seems like an obvious one at this point. The next thing to nerf is the mag size. Remove the 60 round mag from the Grau. Plain and simple. Lowering the mag size won't impact it too much, but that's the point. We don't want to ruin the weapon. There's nothing that says it has to have a 60 round mag just because the M4 or the M13 does. The third nerf should be to the rate of fire. What I'm suggesting is dropping the rate of fire down to 700 rounds per minute even. The The SIG 552 that this gun is based on is around 700 already, so if anything this makes it even closer to realistic. Doing this would increase time to kill by 28, 35, and 46 milliseconds respectively at the 3 different ranges in Warzone. Again, not a huge nerf to the rate of fire, but it should help other weapons compete. The 4th nerf to this weapon should increase base ADS speed. The most accurate assault rifle with the 2nd fastest ADS time. That's just strange to me. Bring it up to 200 milliseconds, which is a small nerf, but additive with all the other nerfs, it can be effective. The final nerf I'd make to the Grau would be to the recoil control benefits of the barrels, not the base Grau itself. You might argue that its accuracy is what makes it unique, but no weapon should be as easy to use as the Grau unless a lot of other weapons are. The base version is already plenty accurate, so I'm not sure if that would even have a huge effect. That is virtually no recoil when set up properly, and that was the exact reason the M4 was nerfed in the first place. I would put out those nerfs to the Grau in the mid-season update and let it roll for a week or so and see what happens, see how players like it. See how they respond and how many still prefer the Grau over everything else. If it's dumped completely by players, you might need to scale back some of those nerfs. But again, the only substantial nerf I'm suggesting is to its insane range. That outclasses everything. A substantial range nerf with a mag reduction, rate of fire reduction, ADS speed reduction, and mild accuracy nerf. If it's going to remain a jack of all trades like I think it should, then those need to be brought down to actually create a balanced weapon. Jack of all trades weapons doesn't mean its stats are near the top or at the top for every single category. We don't want to lose a usable weapon, but the Grau needs to be taken down a peg or two. If the second best weapon was a 3-star choice, the Grau is easily a 5-star choice in Warzone. You can pick up the AMAX because it has a better time to kill, but that's all it has over the Grau. The M4, same thing. Grau is equal or better at almost everything except time to kill. Time to kill is really important, but the chance of missing even a single shot with the AMAX or M4 is higher than the Grau due to the accuracy. Time to kill drops dramatically on those weapons when that happens. Now, why do I think the Grau has taken so long to nerf? Well, I think it's because they feared it might end up being too severe, and they wanted to sell Grau blueprints before that happened. It has been featured in 7 different bundles in the store since Season 2 launched. They knew everyone was using it, and it would be the most likely to sell, but not if they nerfed it first. The RAM 7 has been out since Season 1, and that also still only has 7 because not a lot of people are using it. I obviously don't know the exact numbers, but I would be really interested to know how many people bought the Prototype Alpha bundle with the purple tracers on the Grau and MP7. The week it launched, it seemed like everyone was using it in Warzone, and it made sense. A store bundle for a weapon that most people are using in Warzone, where they exceeded 50 million players a while ago. What I'm saying is simple, it's money. Money is the reason I think they waited so long to even talk about a nerf. They saw how well the bundles were selling for the Grau. That's also the reason why I think the nerfs will be subtle or not enough. The M4 has 20 store bundles alone. It was at one point the most popular assault rifle, and most of the bundles were probably already planned and completed by then. Well, that's going to mark the end of this video. The nerfs the Grau needs, but we probably won't get. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.